Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being about the business of being here tonight, this afternoon, this morning, whatever time it is where you are, where we're at, it's in the evening. And we want to thank you guys for being here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your man Cedric said Boogie, and we are here with the one-to-one interview with Mr. Nicholas Kurt Duffy. Everybody give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Nicholas K. Duffy. Kurt Duffy, how you doing, sir? How's your evening going so
It's a
far?
great day. How are you?
All right. And the wonderful thing is about today is that it was nice out. It looked a little overcasty, but sometimes you get a bright spot in the evening. And right now, for me, the bright spot is this light in my eye. I done put it too close to the table. But what we're going to do is talk to an author, a person that has experience and has had books out since 2017 almost.
Yes.
And that's phenomenal to keep a streak on that, going on that long, ladies and gentlemen. So we want to give him a shout out for being consistent and doing his 1-2 and putting his book out there, which is he has a couple and a couple
Yeah.
of titles. He has a
Yeah.
couple of works out there.
Yeah, this is what the latest looks like. The start of a series. January 2023 is the current work that's going on right now.
All right. And we're going to get a chance to hear some of that work a little bit later on. He's going to talk a little bit, give us some excerpts
Absolutely.
from his book. And we're going to talk about some of the works that he has. So, Mr. Nicholas, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful.
That's
Life is
what's up.
beautiful. I feel healthy,
Yep.
happy.
All right. And what we like to do is to tell people how to connect with you, how to get to you. So tell them all of the social media or your emails, or how do they get
Yeah.
the chance to get that book in their hands?
Right. So the best thing to do is to get one of the books so that you can, be alone with the material and read it as you would use a cell phone. But my website is poodlepromise.com, and you can find my work on Amazon just by putting in Nicholas the Poodle books. And that's where we're at today on August 27th, 2024.
All right. And that's where we're starting, because he has such more to talk about, because he has titles and works that he has done that takes on a persona of different, should I say, people, like the girl. You have a young girl.
Yeah,
Now that
yeah,
is a story in itself.
yeah,
Then you have her friends involved in these stories,
correct. Yeah.
and they morph into their own.
Yes, there's Linda in the Real World. That was the debut novella. And then Jack's print came a little later, and Jack is a character from Linda in the Real World.
So let's start. We're going to back up a little bit.
Sure.
We're going to talk about Linda. Can we? Why?
Absolutely.
Why
Yeah.
a female? Why a girl?
Yeah.
What prompted that from a male?
Right. So the decision to publish the first book came after years of writing in private and trying to find a form and a style. And when I wrote Linda, I was in a very good place. I was in the jungle for a few months in Laos. I was teaching, and then I was feeling very good. I had studied some Buddhism, and I was able to go to a beach house, and I had no worries, and I was seeing things very clearly. And I wrote Linda in the Real World, and it came to me purely, and I felt confident that it was a good debut, right? Which is something that I think any artist wants to make.
And this debut book, this phenomenal piece that you set off with,
Yeah.
why though? Why the female though? I
Yeah.
that's the piece, because sometimes we're guys and you stick to sports or you stick to
Sure.
trucks or you know
Yeah.
what made you tap that?
Yeah. So it's definitely archetypal, and I would say that the literary tradition can be found in Alice in Wonderland,
Okay.
right? So it's the girl who might be innocence, right, going into the world that she sees as being with disorder, as it still is, but adults make order,
Right.
So that the young person sees it for what it is, but does not yet have the responsibility to add order to that situation, right? So by the end of the book, she has a better grasp on the real world. Yeah.
And that's a is it a prologue for Jack, or is it just a morph into Jack just morphed out of it? It wasn't
Yeah,
even
yeah.
a thought of a setup.
Yeah. Well, there's an interesting thing as an author. You see yourself in the work, and sometimes it looks back at you, right? You don't know how to balance this. But of the characters in that book, there's Martha, there's Excellent, there's Linda, and there's Jack. Those are the main characters. And Jack's print is is a first person narrative from a young man who's writing about the world, and it was necessary because the writing that I was doing I knew was important,
Hmm.
but yeah, so I was able to represent sort of the best writing I was doing at the time in 2019 in Jack's print.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that is at that time, because now you've morphed into 2024.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
in itself is its own additional journey.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
You know, and to be able to kind of like signify that, like you're kind of like you're pronouncing it here that you have more to offer the people.
And how do you live so that you are in that place where you're creative,
Right.
right?
And paying
Yeah.
bills.
And paying bills. Yes. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and a lot of times, you know, because I seen you on your hustle. I seen you in the market,
Yeah.
you know, getting your, you know, come to the table
Yeah.
and purchase.
Yeah.
You know, how does that work out? How do you get around to let the masses know about you?
Right.
Is that one of the ways? How do you know, let people know
Yeah.
about you?
Well, I don't have every area of expertise, and marketing and selling is not my forte yet, I suppose.
Okay.
But I have taken notes from great minds about owning your own copyrights and being independent and sticking with that.
Hmm.
And I still do believe in that.
Okay.
So what I did with, so going to these things is good. It's just it's all part of the experience, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's never going to be that, what's that day, it's you want to enjoy the process.
And
I
that
had
is
to learn
sometimes
that,
what it
yeah.
is. It's the process that
Yeah.
is it's not the destination.
No.
It's the process and the journey
Yeah.
on the way to that destination that sometimes is the thing that people write most about, not even the destination piece. What was it for you to get you to, want to write?
You mean initially, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Initial,
Yeah.
and then to
Yeah.
get back
Yeah.
into it.
So like in fourth grade, I wrote this story, this weird like horror story, like a novel for class.
Yeah.
And then like I was always reading. I stopped in high school. I went back in college, and then after like Linda in the Real World, when I put that out, I struggled with it because I didn't know how to maintain my health, pay the bills, have shelter
Yeah.
while being an artist.
Okay.
And so that was wild. And then years went on, but I put out another work that made me confident in myself again,
Okay.
right? And but the writing it's just how I wanted to live when I decided at 18, and I've just been learning how to always keep that spark alive,
Right.
right?
That's huge because creatives,
Yeah.
they always run into the creative and the business, or being so creative that you forget that there is a business.
Mm-hmm.
You putting your work out there, but you spent 7,000 hours on there, but you're selling it for $2.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't translate to a value of your time with what you've done.
Right. Yeah.
Do you ever feel that you are undervalued for your work?
I am such a blessed person. Like I'm a Christian. I feel great about everything. But my strategy has always been a little odd, and I took a strategy before I knew much about how like the other things worked.
So you embedded something in your spirit
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
going to go through. No.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what
Yeah.
I'm getting into.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
going through this valley.
Yeah. So, like, one way I looked at it is some of the great works that I found were in used bookstores.
Okay.
So, like, for example, my novel Larify's Dismissal, a novel from the Hubbub, which is that work that kind of got me out of my whatever into like walking around and stuff. I bought about 800 copies. I tried to buy 1,000, but I couldn't afford it. I bought 834 copies, and I just went around putting them in places because it made me an artist in the community again,
Right,
rather
right.
than being beat down by the world.
Right.
And where are those gonna go?
You don't know.
That's
but,
not mine. Yeah.
Right, but it's
Yeah.
out in the world.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. You can't. You know, there's
Yeah.
other people.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Now that's something. So you think that's a good segue into us getting the piece of some of this that you got going on?
I think that's a good idea.
All right. So let's walk over to the other side. We're gonna go over to the other side, ladies and gentlemen, to the library side of the Arnold Research and Cultural Center, and we're going to partake in some good old-fashioned reading. Ladies and gentlemen, Nicholas Kurt Duffy.
All right, so 2023 is going to be a big kind of book of bedtime stories that originated with me writing an article every day last year. And so the articles are diverse. Some of them are nonfiction, some of them are fiction. There's a lot of short stories, and so this is one of them. It's got chapters. I'm just going to read chapter 1. This is called The Trailing Arbutus. Chapter 1. A family of mice was plodding on a wooden railing in a colonial home in Massachusetts. They eyed the feast in the dining room. Scent from the turkey, squash, green bean casserole, and bowls of stuffing and sauce made the mouths water of the people who had decided to wait outside and peer in the windows with sheep who bleated, "Ba, ba, ba." The neck of a swan ducked, then craned into a bowl of salad and began to pluck at the greens. The rabbits at the table climbed on top of the table and nibbled at the carrot casserole, dirtying the tablecloth. The 7 animals wore humans' clothes. The swan had a necktie, the gopher wore a hat, the rabbits had on sweaters. The family who lived in the house had grown tired with their civilized lives. Last June, they had decided to switch places with the animals who lived in their backyard. The new house guests were put in charge of a maid, chef, and butler. The butler was a bloody fool. The family living on the house's yard had inherited an estate after their parents passed away. Could not decide on what to do with any of the belongings or divide the real estate so they could each stay in the house. So they reverted to acting like the children they had been in the house long ago. They had a ceremony in the foyer, went outside, lured in all of the animals, and now the animals were stuck in the house. Madame Marjorie, the old maid, said, before she left, that this was an apology for all of the pollution to the ocean and air. Help had been briefed about what to do, so they calmed the animals down quickly enough with all of the food, and now, months later, the yard animals were pampered and adjusted to life indoors, somewhat. Animals ate 2 large meals a day. Each had their own room, and they could watch as much television as they wanted. But the animals were not allowed to go outside anymore, as they had to learn to stay indoors and eat with silverware. They were asked to do that, but it was obviously too difficult and random a task, though the butler was stubborn. The humans were now in the grass, chewing the grass. They were floating on the pond, farting, There was a raccoon who began to tear up the turkey meat. The fox tore a leg from the turkey and chewed his turkey leg in the corner. The fox wore a brassiere. He would have eaten the swan had the food not come out soon. Every day, the fox was more and more enticed to eat one of the other animals. There was shit everywhere. The dining room had 80s wallpaper, blue and green stripes with baskets of flowers. The table's chairs had high backs. They were sturdy, but for the first several weeks, the house guests tilted them off and fell off the chairs. The butler would have to come into the dining room and help the animals back onto the chairs. When the animals were first put into the house, the butler and company had to shut the windows and lock the doors, not letting the animals outside to escape, fighting them off with brooms. Over time, the animals were calmed by food. They warmed up to the living indoors because the chef was a skilled chef. The mice watched the lunch on the balustrade patiently. "This will not be a challenge," said a mouse with Buddha. "They are getting food everywhere," said a baby mouse who had never seen a feast. "Look," the mouse squeaked, then pointed in surprise. "Look, just now a corn kernel has flown over my ear." "I don't dare approach the fox," said the father, "nor the horse in the television room. They are too strong and hungry, but maybe the cat would help us out now. He remembers what it was like before. It's been 7 months. You think the people are ever coming inside? They like it out there." All of the animals were not getting along, but they agreed not to let the mice have lunch, dinner, or breakfast with them. The balustrade glistened with the varnish applied 4 years hence. "Have you ever read The Rats of Nim?" asked the one boy who was forgotten in the house when his family went out to live in the backyard. When mammals retired to their rooms or stampeded to the warm blankets of the family room, mashed potatoes and cranberry sauce galore was left on the floor in the splotches and chunks. Mice scurried to find kernels of corn or scraps of turkey. The mice did not mind having the animals in the house, as it made their lives easier, while the maids and cooks were waiting every day for the joke to end. The men and women who owned the house would not talk to the maid when she went outside to bring them plates of food. The human family would neigh like the horses and hiss like the snakes under the sky. They had sworn off reason and disassembled progress. The horse liked to lay on blankets in the living room. He moved less and less. The swan got so fat it could no longer pester the mice, who liked to nibble table scraps. Every night, the butler resented his responsibility to pick up the horse's stinky dung. The responsibilities of the world had gotten to be too much for the 3 left inside to serve the social experiment. The gopher smoked a cigar at a table by a lamp. "We must get them out of here," said the chef, speaking up at last. "These spoiled adults are now so unspoiled. Have you seen them outside? They have begun to sleep in a ditch under the shed," said the maid. "Yes, I suppose they're cold," said the chef. "Their blankets are rags. They are letting these animals ruin the finish. It stinks to high heaven. We go through triple the amount of food. I'm going to church. I must get out of here. This is nothing but a pigsty where it used to be our home." The argument, as I understand it, that they would have ruined the house too. So, at least now, it is getting used for something interesting. "I think it's a riot," said the little boy, laughing. "What about us? I was not brought up to cater to beasts." In Chapter 1 of The Trailing Arbutus.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now tell us again all of your social media handles,
Yeah.
how people can connect with you, and what is the next thing for you.
All right. So again, the best thing to do is to get some one of the Nicholas the Poodle books yourself, and have that as a technology like a phone. My website is poodlepromise.com, and if you go on Amazon and you type in Nicholas the Poodle books, my works will show up there. Yeah. And what was the other
The
thing?
next thing that you
Yeah.
got going on.
Oh, so this is part of 12. It's periodically published in 12 books. The next one is August 2023, and the other months are out now. Yeah.
That's what's up. Well, we want to thank you for being a part of our afternoon, evening, morning, and enjoy your company, enjoy the conversation, enjoy listening to you read. And if there's something that you want to tell the people, what would that last thing be for the people?
Interesting. Um, well, that's a hard one. You're blessed. People love you. Need to understand others less. Realize you have far more friends than you think. And the goal is peace and health. The other stuff is a headache that equivalates to social anxieties. It's in the nature of social anxiety that we need to work together, but it's not always talking that gets the job done. It's just mutual respect and moving around freely and trusting others, right? Not putting all your bad things on other people. Keep it strong in the family, and follow Jesus. And that's about. Those are my notes so far.
All right, that's
Yeah.
what's up.
Thanks.
Now, we want to thank Mr. Nicholas Kurt Duffy for being here today, and thank you guys for being with us as we enjoy the rest of this evening. We hope you guys do too.